What if the next time you stared out at the ocean at night, it stared back, not with eyes, but with billions of points of light? What if our planet's oceans, from the deepest trenches to the waves on the shore, all started to glow with an otherworldly, living light? This isn't pure fantasy. The science behind it, called bioluminescence, is very real. But if every ocean suddenly lit up all at once, the consequences would be beyond anything we could imagine. A world where 70% of the planet is one giant, living lava lamp would be a breathtaking spectacle right before it triggers a global catastrophe. So, how does this light even work? It's a chemical reaction inside a living creature, like a tiny, super-efficient glow stick. A molecule called luciferin reacts with oxygen, and an enzyme called luciferase gets the party started, releasing energy as cool, blue-green light. And that color is key. Blue-green light travels farthest in water, cutting through the endless dark of the deep sea. This glow isn't some rare fluke. Down in the deep ocean, it's the norm. It's estimated that up to 80% of all animals living between 200 and 1,000 meters deep can make their own light. They use it for everything: attracting a mate, luring in dinner, or confusing a predator in the pitch-black abyss. We see hints of this magic in places like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, where tiny organisms called dinoflagellates light up the water whenever it's disturbed. But for our world-changing scenario, we need to go bigger. Let's imagine a new kind of phytoplankton. The microscopic engine of the ocean evolves. A version that's incredibly successful, outcompetes all others, and glows permanently. As it spreads on ocean currents, the world's seas would never be truly dark again. And that's when the show would begin. At first, it would be magnificent. Every coastline on Earth would become a living masterpiece. Waves wouldn't just crash. They'd roll in as crests of liquid light, painting beaches in a soft blue-green glow. Any disturbance would set off a flash, so boats would carve shimmering, radiant wakes through the water. Dolphins playing in the surf would look like living comets. A whale breaching the surface would create an explosive burst of light, its huge body silhouetted in firefly brilliance. Coastal cities like Tokyo, Los Angeles, and Sydney would be bathed in a gentle, constant glow from below, reflecting off the clouds and creating a permanent twilight. This would change human culture forever. It would inspire new art, new religions. Tourism along the coasts would explode. Night diving would become the planet's most popular extreme sport, a plunge into an alien, illuminated world. From space, Earth would be transformed. The continents would be framed by pulsating, glowing oceans, a vibrant blue marble unlike anything else in the cosmos. It would be the most beautiful thing humanity has ever witnessed. But this beauty is just a mask, hiding an ecological disaster that's already starting to boil under the surface. In nature, darkness isn't just empty space, it's a habitat. And we would have just destroyed it on a global scale. The rules of survival in the ocean, perfected over hundreds of millions of years, would be thrown out the window overnight. The first to go would be the masters of stealth. In the deep and twilight zones, the best survival trick is to not be seen. Many creatures practice a clever camouflage called counter-illumination, where they produce a faint light on their bellies to match the dim light from above. This makes them invisible to predators looking up from below. But with a constant glow coming from every direction, this brilliant adaptation becomes useless. Animals like the deep-sea hatchetfish would be completely exposed. Predators that hunt in the dark would starve. The anglerfish, with its famous glowing lure meant to tempt prey in total blackness, would suddenly find its best trick is just a dim light in a bright room. Entire food webs would be shattered. Animals that use flashes of light to startle predators or signal for a mate would find their voices lost in the constant background noise. It'd be like trying to whisper at a rock concert. Countless species, unable to hunt, hide, or breed, would spiral toward extinction. While the oceans are in chaos, human society would face its own crisis. The most immediate impact? Warfare. The submarine, the ultimate stealth weapon and a cornerstone of naval power, would become a relic. These billion-dollar machines are built for invisibility in the deep, dark ocean. In a glowing world, a moving sub is just a massive black shadow, creating a brilliant trail of disturbed plankton that could be seen for miles. The entire strategy of nuclear deterrence, which relies on undetectable submarines, would be broken. Global commerce would grind to a halt. The fishing industry, which feeds billions of people, would collapse. Many commercial fish species rely on darkness to migrate, spawn, or feed. With their cycles broken, their populations would plummet. Even worse, some real-world red tides are caused by bioluminescent algae that are also toxic. Our new global bloom could easily be poisonous, killing off fish stocks from the bottom up. Coastal economies would become a bizarre mix of ruin and riches. Fishing towns would turn into ghost towns, while tourist resorts built to watch the light shows would boom for a little while. But no one would be ready for the real apocalypse brewing in the water. There are two fundamental cycles that run our planet: the cycle of light and dark, and the cycle of oxygen. A permanently glowing ocean would break them both. First, the light. Nearly every living thing has a circadian rhythm, an internal clock tied to the daily cycle of sun and darkness. It tells animals when to sleep, hunt, and reproduce. The constant, unending glow would be like global 24/7 light pollution, throwing these clocks into chaos. The largest migration on Earth, where trillions of creatures swim from the depths to feed at the surface each night, would stop. It would trigger stress, reproductive failure, and mass die-offs on a scale we can't comprehend. But the final blow would come from oxygen. The chemical reaction for bioluminescence itself uses a tiny bit of oxygen. The real problem is the sheer mass of the glowing phytoplankton. A bloom of this impossible size means that trillions upon trillions of organisms are living and dying every moment. As they die, they sink and decompose. The bacteria that break them down would consume oxygen on an unimaginable scale. This process would drain the oceans of their oxygen, creating dead zones. But not just in a few spots, these dead zones would expand until they covered entire oceans. Anything that couldn't flee to the surface would suffocate. The sea, once bursting with life, would become a silent, glowing graveyard. The brilliant light show would continue, but it would be a ghost light, a chemical echo in a world that has died. Conclusion. From a breathtaking wonder to a suffocating, empty tomb, the story of a glowing ocean is a stark warning. The silent, dark oceans we know aren't empty. They're a finely tuned system where the absence of light is just as important as its presence. It shows us that sometimes the most beautiful changes can hide the most devastating consequences. And in nature, you can't have the light without the dark.